Life in interesting times. Today's stories. Floridians react to the threat of ending net neutrality. Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Training Center holds first community emergency response team exercise. We will take you to Washington State's 270-foot gem. Plus, EBC Seattle strengthens commitment to public service in Washington State. EBC continues expansion in southeastern U.S. and beyond. And EBC North America adds bureaus in Portland, Alaska, and expands in Canada. Hello everyone, I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot, bringing you stories from around the globe. And this is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. Net neutrality is the principle that internet service providers should treat all content and applications equally regardless of the source, without favoring or blocking certain products or websites. How does ending this principle make online users feel? Samantha Suarez of EBC Florida gets reactions. Take a look.
Posting your favorite photos on Facebook, binge watching your favorite movies on Netflix, doing viral videos on YouTube. Accessing all these for free could have come to an end. Net neutrality, which allows all internet service providers to treat all data on the internet equally, was on the verge of being void by the FCC. The Senate, however, has voted 52-47 to disapprove the rule change of net neutrality. If the Senate were to approve the FCC ruling, the FCC's renditions would have taken place on June 11 to give time for internet providers to comply. But the ruling, known as the Congressional Review Act, was believed to have been most unlikely for the Senate to pass. Here in the state of Florida, we take to the streets to hear the concerns if net neutrality were to have come to an end.
My concerns would be for education, as we have one-on-one laptops for students in order to do research. I'm curious as how would packages that would allow certain websites, how would that set up, and what would that cost to schools and school districts, and would those laptops then be taken away from students and technology be taken away from students because it becomes too costly for students to use technology and to do research on their own.
If internet service providers provided me with an affordable package, I don't know if I'd budge. I don't usually believe in the slippery slope argument, but I think if given an inch, they might take a mile on this front. FCC is still fighting Congress on net neutrality. I think my biggest concern is worrying about how the internet's going to look for people 10 years and 20 years down the line, and whether it's going to be the same as how I had it when I was a kid, free, like the Wild West.
My message to our elected officials is to look into the subject and please do not give an unfair advantage to big corporate companies by charging the middle class and everybody else in America for services that are actually free, that I don't see how this is going to be an advantage to the people who actually elected you. Please reconsider.
The Senate vote doesn't mean that the FCC will stop in ending net neutrality. Thus, the fight to keep net neutrality will continue, and consumers won't hold back in fighting for it. For now, keep watch and enjoy free internet for all. Signing off with the Florida Bureau, I'm Samantha Suarez, always one with 25.
Thanks, Samantha. Up next, Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Training Center holds its first full-scale community emergency response team exercise. And we will take you to Washington State's 270-foot gem. Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition will return in a moment. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. When or if emergency situations arise, how prepared are you to assess the damage, and how well would you respond to it? EBC's Anna Cui takes us to the first full-scale community emergency response team exercise event sponsored by the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Training Center. Take a look.
What would you do if a major disaster happens in your city? Are you prepared to help your family and those around you into safety? Well, I'm here at the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Training Center, where they are holding Southern Nevada's first full-scale Community Emergency Response Team exercise. The day started in the classroom where the volunteers had a review of selected topics from the CERT curriculum. But this is not an ordinary CERT refresher course. Today, they're doing something new for the very first time.
So what is happening here today is our first CERT, Community Emergency Response Team exercise for Southern Nevada for people who have been through our CERT classes. So these are people who have been through the 6-week course or the weekend course, and this is an exercise to help them brush up their skills, see if how they handle some of the new material we taught them. The CERT program, it's either a 6-week course or a weekend course, whichever fits your schedule. Teaches people basic fire suppression, cribbing, basic first aid, some disaster psychology. So just basic skills that people would need in the event of a major disaster, so you can help your friends, your families, or your neighbors in the event that first responders are taxed and can't quite get there in a timely fashion.
About 70 CERT volunteers were able to put into practice what they learned during a simulated plane crash scenario. According to DeMarco, they were tested on assessing the situation, looking at the victims' injuries, and prioritizing who needed help first. Complete with stage victims under rubbles, first aid treatment areas, and the help of professional first responders, this full-scale CERT exercise was appreciated by those who took part in it.
I thought it was great. It's kind of a learning experience, playing victim, and we're on the other side and we're the ones trying to help save lives.
It was very good, very educational, very, very well done. They did a good job of organizing it. I think if more of us are educated in what to do in a disaster, there'll be less chaos, less panic.
I think that they should go through the course, even though it's 18 hours. 3 hours a day, 6 times, and it's worth it. Just if you save your family, it's worth it.
The CERT concept was developed by the Los Angeles Fire Department in 1985 and was made available nationally by FEMA since 1993. Reporting for Eagle News, I'm Anna Cui, and I am 1 with 25.
Thank you, Anna. Thinking of an escape from the hustle and bustle of city life without planning a grand vacation? Estela Dominique and Elise Danielle show us this relaxing retreat in Washington State, just a 35-minute drive from downtown Seattle.
The sound of gushing water cascading down to the river, the sight of the thick layers of mist formed in the air, and the scent of wet earth and pine trees are what makes this 270-foot waterfall one of Washington State's prides and joys. This is Snoqualmie Falls. Hailed as the most famous waterfall in Washington State, Snoqualmie Falls is frequented by residents of nearby cities and is on the must-see list of first-time visitors, mostly from other parts of the globe. A short scenic trail leads one from the observation deck to the base of the waterfall, where a dramatic view awaits an eager spectator. It's no surprise an average of 1.5 million visitors catch a sight of this wonder every year. From Snoqualmie Falls here in Washington State, I am Elise Danielle, and I am Estela Dominique, and we are 1 with 25.
Thank you, Estela Dominique and Elise Danielle. Coming up, EBC North America strengthens the network's commitment to public service in Washington State, continues expansion in southeastern U.S. and in Canada, and adds bureaus in Portland all the way to Alaska. Eagle News Washington, D.C. will return shortly. is Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglekmot. EBC Seattle Bureau strengthens commitment to public service in the Evergreen State. Marie Francisco Weir reports.
Eagle Broadcasting Corporation is expanding in the Evergreen State. With stories from cities as far north as Bellingham, west as Forks, east as Spokane, south as Vancouver, this bureau is set to bring you the latest in news and entertainment from the Pacific Northwest.
In a media seminar in Seattle, Washington, EBC correspondents discussed strategies on delivering news and features from the Puget Sound and neighboring regions. Having an EBC correspondent in each city in the Pacific Northwest is the network's goal to enforce its commitment to public service in this part of the globe.
From Seattle, Washington, I'm Marie Francisco Weir, and I am one with 25.
Thanks, Marie. Eagle Broadcasting Corporation continues its expansion in southeastern U.S. and beyond. Claudine Kaday with the story.
EBC Florida Bureau adds correspondents from cities across the Sunshine State, plus those from as far as Aruba, the Bahamas, Brazil, and the Caribbean. This is in response to their expansion in North America. In EBC's vision to reach local communities and get stories about them, how important is mobile journalism?
Mobile journalism, or MOJO as it's often called, is particularly important in modern times because a lot of people are now starting to get their news from social media. And nowadays everything is very much instant gratification. Everything is quick, everything is coming right at you right away, and it's a lot easier to do that with MOJO. If you have to carry with you a lot of large equipment, heavy equipment, it's much more difficult to cover things. So if you have your phone with you, then if you're there and you witness something, you can get there quickly, you can move in, grab your footage, grab your interviews, and then you're ready to go, and you can get it posted as quickly as you can, and then you'll be at the front lines of all of the news media.
Why is there a need to extend EBC Florida to Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, and to the Bahamas, to Brazil, to Aruba?
It's our hope to have coverage, because the more coverage you have, of course, the more reliable the news source is. So that's what our target is to have correspondents in all parts of the southeastern United States, Central America, and definitely South America.
EBC continues to bring you stories that matter from communities around the globe, and Florida Bureau is part of that commitment. Coming from Jacksonville, Florida, I am Claudine Kaday, and I am one with 25.
Thank you, Claudine. EBC in North America adds bureaus in Portland and in Alaska, and widens its reach in Canada. Two new bureaus, Portland and Alaska, have been added to the growing EBC network in an expansion effort in the Pacific Northwest. Across the border, EBC Canada correspondents draw out plans on contributing more content to further serve and entertain the network's audience. To date, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation in North America has 15 established bureaus across the United States and Canada. That is Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. Join us next week for stories from our bureaus around the world. Visit our websites at eaglenews.ph and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph. Thank you for watching. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglekmot, always one with 25.